Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back again with another Epic 7 video for you guys today, and today we're going to be ranking all of the RGB 5 stars units in the game and how they fare in PvE area of content. That being said, before we get started with this video, if you guys aren't already following me on Instagram, make sure you guys follow me there. We are doing a giveaway on Instagram, and all you guys have to do to participate is like the post there and follow me on my Instagram account. The giveaway will end on December 25th, so there's not a lot of time left. Make sure you guys participate just to get a chance at free rewards. So for this tier list, guys, we're going to be breaking it down into 5 tiers and a one-shot tier as well. So SS, the best units, the cream of the crop. These units are super powerful in so many areas of content. If you guys ever see these units on a banner, you definitely are going to want to pull for them. Next, we have the S tier units. These units are still very good. They're just going to be a little bit weaker than the SS units. A lot of these units in these S tier, although they'll carry you throughout a lot of the early and mid and even into the late game, you will eventually replace them with some of these SS units. Next, we have the A tier. Still very good units, guys, just not used in as much of the game as you'll use the S and SS tier units for. Still very powerful in a lot of areas of content though, and some of them might be even very strong in a few areas of content as well. Next, we have the B tier units, guys. These units you're going to want to start staying away from once you get to the B tier, but these units are still very usable, especially if you're newer to the game. But definitely once you get a hand on those S and SS tier units, you want to swap these guys out. And even if you get A tier units, you definitely want to consider replacing some of your B tier units with those units as well. C tier units, guys, honestly, I didn't want to put an F tier because, you know, I feel kind of bad for some of the units here, but honestly, the C tier units you're definitely never going to want to use in any areas of content for PvE. There might be some super niche teams that can use some of these units in like 1 or 2 areas of content, specifically for like Abyss or something. But for the most part, you definitely are going to want to stay away from these units in the general sense. Now for the one-shot tier, guys, pretty simple. These guys are going to be used in the one-shot teams for hunts. A lot of these units you can actually use in other areas of content if you really want to, but for the most part, these are going to only be used in one-shot hunts, or they're only really effective in those one-shot hunt teams. So I'm not going to talk about every single unit in this tier list, guys, but we're just going to glance through. I'll probably talk about the SS and the S units and even the A units, but after that, B and C tier units, you know, not really going to be talked about that much. So SS tier, right here we have Tamrin, guys. This unit is super OP. So pretty much you can bring her into every area of content. She's very strong. She's the best PvE unit in the game, the best soul weaver. She has pretty much everything that you need in a support unit, and her S1 will actually make it so that when she's in idle form, she can actually do a lot of damage as well. Next, we have Landy, guys, a limited unit. This unit is the best DPS unit in the game for PvE content, in my opinion, because of the fact that she has no debuffs, so you can bring her into bosses that have, you know, conditions where you can't apply too many debuffs. She also has a speed buff for her team, which is very important, and also the fact that she has a CR push is very nice so as well. And her damage on her S1, once you ramp it up with her S2 scaling, is super powerful. Next, we have Seaside Blona here, guys. This unit is a summer limited unit. This unit is very powerful because she has a lot of AoE damage. She has target, she has a lot of debuffs. She's used in Wyvern one-shot hunt, and she also has a defense break. Very powerful in areas of content like Raid, Fire Expo, Wyvern, like I said, Abyss, Automaton Tower. She's extremely powerful as well. Honestly, some people might put her above Landy, but in my opinion, I think that she is actually a little bit below Landy, but still extremely powerful. Definitely a must-have. Next, we have Rwana, guys. This unit will make a lot of bosses in the game, especially in the later adventure stages, and even in Automaton Tower, and even in Hellraid and stuff like that in Abyss. Very trivial. Her S2 is the main reason why you bring her. The fact that she can heal and CR push your team just by getting triggered by counterattacks and stuff like that makes her so strong. Asteria, guys, premier dispeller, premier defense breaker, and she pairs very well with Tamrin as well because Asteria can S2 constantly onto the Tamrin and pretty much make it so that Tamrin's idle form is never off of cooldown. Next, we have Dizzy, guys. So the reason why she's in the SS tier, guys, is because she is so broken for Abyss. Like, if you guys have Dizzy, who is a limited unit or a collab unit from Guilty Gear, she will make 1 to like 100 something, like super easy. You can literally clear it within like not a day because Abyss is limited every day, but very easily because Dizzy is just super broken. Pretty much a cheat code for Abyss, like I'd say, and also very good in like Raid and stuff like that. Next, the S tier units, guys, still very good. Starting off, we have DN. So DN, pretty much a worse version of Tamrin for PvE for the most part. Now, there is some areas of content you can use her in over Tamrin that that she actually is better in. And in my opinion, that area of content is going to be like Automaton Tower for like the first few floors, or even in adventure mode if you are just like farming, because Diane kind of doesn't need more time to ramp. But Diane is still very, very powerful. Until you get Tamarin, guys, you can definitely use Diane in her place, and she's very strong. She is a limited unit though, so you guys might not have access to her. Bomb model Kana, guys, connection unit. Very powerful AoE damage dealer. She's kind of a worse version of Landy, but she is better in like Golem and also in Azmonak. But everywhere else, Landy is just better. Very, very similar units in that they speed buff your team and do a lot of AoE and single target damage. But Landy's damage is just higher, and she is just it's just a lot higher. So you definitely want to use Landy. Next we have Lilius, so very, very good cleansing unit. She also has a dual attack in her S1. She's very powerful in Hall of Trials, very good in Raid. Anywhere you need a cleanse, she's very good. She's good in Golem as well. The thing is, like Ross, Adventure Ross is in the game, so you definitely can just build him instead. And pretty much everywhere except for some bosses, Adventure Ross is just better like 99% of the time. Luluka, guys, I think this unit is very, very underrated. She's extremely powerful in Azmonak, good in Wyvern, good in Fire Expo, good in Dark Expo, good in Automaton Tower, good in Raid, good in Katie's, right? So many areas of content she's good in. The only thing is, like, there's always going to be better options than her, especially like 4-star and 3-star units even. But for the most part, the reason why I have her in the S tier is because she is super, super versatile. You just slap her on Isle of Violin, 80% effectiveness, and whatever gear you have, and she will be usable in all of those areas of content, which is very valuable for a new player because you don't have that much gear to go around. Next we have Vivian, guys, very good in one-shot hunt, but also just good as an AoE damage dealer because she has an attack buff as well and an immunity buff as well, and her S1 hits pretty hard. I think she's pretty decent. Definitely check her out if you have her. She's pretty good as an AoE damage dealer, especially for like Raid and other areas of content. Next we have Sigrid, guys. No surprise, she'd be rank high. The reason why we have Sigrid here is because she's just so good at Wyvern. Honestly, you only really use her in Wyvern, but Wyvern is such a crucial part of the game, and she is so good at Wyvern that I had to put her in the S tier for sure. She's good in one-shot Wyvern as well, so you can definitely use her there as well. You can even use her in one-shot Katie's. Next we have Luna, guys. Very strong single target damage dealer. She's a little bit weaker than Landy. She fits the same bill, just as hard hitting single target damage dealer with no debuffs. She also has a defense break if you want to put her with skills on. Mostly used in Fire Expedition and I guess Wyvern if you really wanted to. But she's still good in like Abyss and Hell Raid and stuff like that until you get your hands on a better single target DPS such as Landy. If you guys don't know what I mean by DPS, guys, just think of it as a damage dealer. Vildred, guys, we have him as a selective summon unit. Very, very powerful as an AoE damage dealer. He is one of the best units for Raid, also one of the best units for Azmonak, and for normal Banshee is very good. And for even farming Adventure, if you're just repeating stages to farm Catalyst and stuff like that, he's extremely, extremely powerful, especially because you don't take Arbiter Vildred from the Moonlight Blessing anymore. For that reason, I have him in the S tier. Ravi, guys, kind of similar to Luluka in that she's a jack of all trades, just that she gets phased out a lot quicker, but for the early game and mid game, she's extremely powerful. You can literally have her tank like most general areas of content, and she just has so much self-sustain that even if your healer isn't on like super good gear, Ravi can kind of stay alive by herself. Next we have the A tier, guys. So starting off we have Karina. Honestly, she's not out yet since this whenever I'm recording this video, but the thing is, like, just looking at her kit, she looks like a very good knight. Defense break, right? You can probably use her in Wyvern. I don't really know how good she'll be, but I wanted to keep her here because she is pretty waifu and one of my favorite idols from K-pop. So next we have Sirmia, guys. So Sirmia, pretty decent single target damage dealer. You can use her in one-shot Golem, one-shot Katie's and stuff like that, but just in general as a single target unit, she hits very hard and she's extremely, extremely good in Hall of Trials. Violet, guys, similar to Ravi in that you can just put him in the front and have him tank, very good general purpose unit, but he is also used in like Katie's, I guess, and like Automaton Tower. Honestly, like, you can probably put him in the S tier if you really wanted, but I want to put him in the A tier just because, you know, there are some better options now, especially with the newer units out in the 3-star and 4-star units for like Katie's and stuff like that, so you won't really use him there. And honestly, I think Ravi's a lot safer than Violet because he does have that RNG built in, but for Automaton Tower, guys, for Violet, if you get the better devices, he will be better than Ravi. Next we have Bellona. Honestly, I think Bellona can be S tier, but Bellona, like I said, she's just weaker than Seaside Bellona in PvE. The only area of content she's very good in is Abyss because her S1 has a built-in percent HP, max HP damage effect. So against very high HP bosses, which you'll see in Abyss a lot of the time, she does crazy damage. Otherwise, you can use her just as a general purpose damage dealer and a defense breaker in like Hell Raid and stuff like that. But for the most part, she'll get phased out pretty quick. But in the early game, she's extremely powerful. If you have her, you can build her and she will carry you through PvE for a lot of the harder, or I guess like mid to hard areas of content for newer players. So Reese, guys, I have her here because she's extremely good for Dark Expo, and she's actually very good if you build her very high speed as a defense breaker. Only thing is you kind of need her on Miss Confile, which is a limited artifact. So you have to keep in mind that you kind of need that artifact from Guilty Gear to make her work. Icarine, guys, I forgot to mention, is a collab unit from Espa, and then Cerise is also another limited unit. Next, we have Corral, General Purpose Knight. Honestly, I don't even know if he should be here, but have him here because he has a defense buff and he's pretty consistent and very bulky because he's a 5-star unit. Otherwise, honestly, you should just use Adventure Ross. Like, there's no reason to use Corral over Adventure Ross because Adventure Ross does the same thing. He defense buffs your team, but Adventure Ross also has a defense break, a dual attack, and strip, and a heal for himself, and a barrier for your backline, so just a lot better. Next, we have Giselle. So honestly, her damage is pretty crazy. You can use her in a lot of like not team comps, but areas of content where you need high single target damage. But I think Landy and like Luna and stuff like that are just way more consistent. But Giselle, if you have her because you're new to the game, you don't have like other units, you can definitely use her. Soul, guys, extremely powerful single target unit. He's from the Guilty Gear collab. Yeah, very, very good in Golem, but for the most part, you know, not going to be really used that much. But if you do get him, he is a free unit when the Guilty Gear collab runs, and you get him to 6 stars for free. Definitely just use him like until you get a better unit because he just does a lot of damage and he's very, very safe. Next, we have Tenebria and Bones is on. I'm going to loop them together. Very good defense breakers, a lot of AoE damage on both of them. Mostly used in Earth Expedition, but you can honestly use them in any areas of content you need AoE damage. But honestly, there's no real point to use them, because you can just use Spectre Tenebria from your Moonlight Blessing, or I guess even Arbiter Vildred if you have him, and you can just bring a defense breaker and they'll do better most of the time. But Balnazon and Tenebria, still very good AoE damage dealing options. So those are the units that I'm going to talk about, guys. For the B and C tier, you know, don't really stress too much about them too much. There are going to be some areas of content you can use them in. Most of the time they're going to be used because they have either like an attack buff like Yuna or Araminta, or even like a defense break like a Valencia and like Summer Break Charlotte and stuff like that. And the C tier units, guys, you definitely want to stay away from. And the one-shot units, like I said, mostly for one-shot hunts. That's going to pretty much sum up this tier list, guys. If you guys have any other thoughts about other units, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys think, and I always look at your feedback for these tier lists, and I try to keep this updated every few months. That being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.